Hi everyone, this is Dikshit. Welcome to my channel. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about a shell scripting scenario which I've recently came across when I was working on Nexus. The scenario is very simple, wherein like I need a metrics related to my Nexus, wherein like whenever I just say script name and count, so it should give me the number of repositories which are there in the Nexus. And when I say report and also hosted, so this is my script name, the report.sh. When I say hosted, so it should provide me all the list of hosted repository. Likewise, if I say report.sh proxy repositories, it should list me all the proxy repositories with that, with for what remote repository which is connected. So that kind of a list I wanted, and also one of the admin related activity like creation of Maven repositories in the Nexus I wanted to handle. And always better wherein like whenever some admin related activities are there, it is better to always automate it by using some script. Because so let's say if an administrator logs into the UI and if he creates, so sometimes like as a human we will make mistakes. So let's assume in a hurry he has created a repository but missed to enable some configuration, so it can hamper some projects. So that's the reason. So what we can do is we can automate all the administrative related activities via some script, so that like that script expects some input. So if administrator provides that, so without any small configuration issues wherein like the repositories will be created. Okay, so now, so without wasting any time, so let's get started. So for this script to write, I'm going to use two major things. One is Nexus APIs. So obviously, if I want to get the information about my repositories and all, I need to use Nexus APIs. The other one is the Nexus APIs will give me JSON output. So to handle that particular JSON output, so wherein like I'm going to use command line utility, which is JQ, JSON query. And before moving ahead, if you don't know what is Nexus and also repositories in Nexus, so I recently uploaded a video on Nexus wherein like I've discussed about why we need Nexus and also different types of repositories which are there in the Nexus. It can be hosted, group or proxy. You can go ahead and watch that. And so then if you watch this video, you'll have a more clarity. So how we are exactly achieving this particular script. So I'm going to provide that video's link in the description. You can go ahead and you can refer. So now, so let us go on to the Nexus. Now you can see this is my Nexus, which is up and running. I'm already logged in. And first we need to click on this gear button, which is settings button. And then scroll it down. You can see something system here under the system. So if it is not expanded, so you can just click on expand. So when you click on expand, you can see the API, the section API. When you click on API, so all the APIs that you can work with Nexus, wherein like will be listed here. So now I want to work on some metrics related to repositories. So that's why I'm going to search the APIs which are related to my repositories. So let me search that. You can see here now I've got a repository management. So these are the things that I want to work with. The first thing is count of repositories. To get the count of repositories, so you can see here, this is the API that I need to use. So you can see a list of repositories. This particular API gives me list of repositories. So by using which I will be able to count how many repositories which are there in my Nexus. So when you expand, when you click on this particular API, so then it will be expanded and you can click on try out and then it will gonna enable this execute button. So let me click on this execute button. Now you can see here wherein like API has been triggered, and this is a API that it has been triggered curl. You can see the total API, so which has been seen on the screen, and also you can see the output. The code like response code is 200, so that means it is a success. And I can see it has provided me a JSON output. So as I mentioned earlier, to handle JSON output, wherein like I'm going to use a command line utility which is called as JQ, so that I can handle this JSON output a little better. So now what I'll do is, so I'm gonna take this curl command. So let me get it onto my Visual Studio Code. So for that, let me go onto Visual Studio Code and let me put it in my script. So rather than in command line, so put it on the script. And also I'll do remove these things. I don't need multi-liner. So let me put it in a single line. And also here, if you observe one thing, to trigger API. So in any of the API to trigger, if you want to send some API request to any of the system, you need username password. But here I don't. So let me execute the script. So now you can see I'm able to list out all the things, all the repositories. I'm getting a valid response. So this is why, because even though I have not provided username or password, I'm getting the response. This is why, because in the Nexus, if you could see, there will be something called as anonymous access setting. So under the security itself, there is an anonymous access. You can click on this, and in my case, which is enabled. So that means, so whoever has authentication or authorization, who doesn't have also, they can go and read all the repositories, and they can see what are all the artifacts which has. If they want to do any write operations like updating or pushing some image or pushing some artifact, then only they need wherein like the access. So when in your case, maybe by default it will be disabled. In my case, I went explicitly to anonymous access and I've enabled this. So that's the reason I'm not using that particular username password. And if you want to use it, it's very simple. Wherein like here you should provide -u. And you need to provide admin. This is a username, and password is also in my case admin. So now let me execute it again. Okay, so I guess we need to provide X option. Let me execute, save it now, and then let me execute the script. So now I should get a valid response. Now you can see I'm providing a username password also, but it's optional in my case because I've given anonymous access. So that's the reason. Username and password, which is not required in my case. So let me take it off, which is not required. So I'm gonna remove it off. And now I need something like, so wherein like if a user sends, so script name count. So then I need to kind of like show the count of repositories in my Nexus. To do this, wherein like I'm gonna use a concept called as arguments, like so when like the user will gonna send the arguments, right? I'm gonna read this argument inside my script, and depending on that, I'll take a decision. The first thing is, so let me define the shebang line. So I will say dollar, and also let me do bin sh. Let me save it, and also to access arguments that like user sends. The first argument that it will gonna send, right? So wherein like in my case, wherein if you could see, this is the first argument the user will gonna send. So if I want to check the first, if I want to read the first argument in my case, so then I need to use $1. Okay, and also I need to take a decision, right? So that's the reason I need to use if condition also. So let me execute if. So this is the syntax. We will gonna write the in the shell script. The if loop syntax is this, and let me $1. So now I'm gonna read this particular count, whatever the user, the first argument that you will gonna send, right? So that I'm gonna be reading here. And now, so now what I'll do is, if it is equals to count, if it is equals to count, so then only I'll come and I'll execute this particular part. Okay, so let me save it, and also the syntax is then, and then I need to close the if loop by using fi. So let me save it, and also this should be as it is a string, it should be there in the double quote. Okay, so now let me execute it without count. So when I execute it without count, it shouldn't do anything because we don't have any logic if we don't send any arguments. So now let me send a count. So when I do this, you can see that this, it will gonna execute this particular output, and that is what I can see in the screen also. So now, so we have got the output. So let me store this output, JSON output, in one of the file. So I'll say repo.json. So let me save it. So you can see here. So let me go to repo.json. You can see these are the output that I've got. You can see that like in the JSON format, this is an array. So in an array, we have multiple this thing. So you can see here. So these are the extensions that I've installed in Visual Studio Code. You can see here repo.json. So wherein like when I click here, right? So wherein like when I click here, so there are so many. It is an array. Basically, see, you can see it is starting with square brackets and also ending with square bracket. So whatever within that, which will be separated by comma. And when I click here, and also you can see there are so many kind of like child objects here. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 13 we have. And in each information or in each object, you can see that like we have the repository name, we have the format, what kind of a repository it is, and also type of a repository and the URL. We have all the information. But now I'm not interested in name or a like format or a type of a repository. I just need to count. So maybe if I count the number of names in this particular output, so then I will be able to get the count of repositories. Okay, so to handle it, maybe we can use a grep, but grep has some disadvantages. Let's say this object has one more name field in it. Okay, in that case, so it will be totally difficult. Let's say this attributes is there, right? So let's assume under this attributes there is one more kind of like value is there, which is uh, the key name is name and it has some value. So then when we do grep, this name and as well as this name will come into picture. So that I don't want to do that. So that's the reason wherein I'm just going through JQ. So by using JQ, we can loop through JSON array or like JSON objects very easily. So now, so let me execute it wherein like, let me unsave this particular file. So first, so I'm going to use JQ and then I will, so let me do cat on repo.json and then let me use JQ here. JQ dot the square brackets I'll give because my, my particular JSON is in array format. So that's the reason when I give this. So now you can see that square brackets are removed and with that, like it is shown the output here. Now here I want to select only name. So then how do I do that? How do I construct a JQ query? So when like within the array, I'm telling that JQ dot within the array, I need name. Okay, when I do dot name, so this value will be printed on the output. So when I do this, you can see only the repo names has been displayed. So I'm telling that inside the array. So wherein like I have a JSON, so wherein like which is in array format. So that's why inside the array, so in each object, wherein I will say that in each object, I need name is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now we got number of list of repositories. Now once we get the list of repository, it is very easy to get the count. So you can do count, sorry, not count, you can use wc minus l, word count minus l. When we do that, so you can see that like number of repositories, so we will gonna get it as an output. So now let me take this and then let me put it in my particular shell script. So this is what I will do. I'll pipe it and I'll gonna do wc minus l. So now when I execute my script with the argument count, so this part will be executed and then I'll be able to see the count. So now we know 14 repositories are there. So let me create a new repository. So let me go to the repositories and click on repository. So maybe I'll create Maven repository. So Maven hosted repository. Let me create the hosted repository. I'll give Nexus minus Maven -Maven and then click on create repository. So now when I execute the script, I should get the count as 15 because I have 15 repositories. So now let me do sh nexus report.sh and also now I should provide count. So now when I do this, you can see 15 is the output that you're able to see. And also now I don't want to see this output in the whenever I see the output. So this is the curl command, it is executing. So the default output is it has been printed. Let's say I don't want to see this particular output. So which is like time, current speed, that and all I don't want to see. So in that case, I can use the option -s in the curl. So which is for suppressing the default output. So whatever you are seeing this, right? So wherein like this will be suppressed, wherein like you won't be able to see on the screen anymore. Now again, when I execute it, you can see that like this particular one, you are not able to see it. So now I've got the list of, the number of repositories, I've got it. So the next metric that I want is, so wherein like, let's say if I, something like if I execute like this, hosted. So then I want to list out all the hosted repositories in my case. So there are 3 types of repositories in Nexus. One is hosted, proxy, and we have group repository. So in my case, when I say sh script name and hosted, I want to list all the hosted repositories. So for that, again, we can add one more condition. So let me add that. So for this, I'll make use of else if, and then so I need to type in, and also this is where the condition I should define. So this is a syntax wherein like if else, else if, like if you want to use it, so wherein like you need to use elif and also then has to be there. Okay, now the condition will be wherein like whenever $1, when I say $1 and then is equals to, if it is hosted. So if it is hosted, in my case, so then I want to list out all the hosted repositories. The logic will be, we will write it here. And now first thing is, again, I need to use the same particular API. Why? Because so which has basically both name of the repository as well as type of repository. So if I first select what are all the hosted repositories are there, and then out of that filtered output, I can get the name and then I can show it on the screen. So that is what I can do. So for this, again, we will gonna use the same thing. So let me take the same curl. Okay, and I don't take this jq.name. So let me take this. Let me put it here. And now whenever the user runs the script with the nexus.sh, in my case, the script name, and hosted, all the hosted repositories will be listed. Okay, so that is what it will gonna happen. So now what I'll do is, so let me again pipe it. And now I need to send the output of this curl command to jq command. So I'm gonna do jq. Okay, so let's execute it here. So let me take this. So now let me send it again to .jq dot square brackets you need to use. When I do that, so basically it will going to show all the objects. Now within the array it was, now it will gonna create a single object and it is shown here. Now first I want to filter from this output. I want to filter only objects which has a hosted type hosted. Okay, so that's wherein like we can use quite simple within JQ now, wherein like I'm gonna give single quote, and then so whatever the output that I'll get it out of this dot square brackets, right? So now what I can do is I can use a select query here. So this is select, which is specific to JQ I'm doing, and this pipe symbol also, which is specific to JQ, because if you can see here, I've started the single quote at the end of the selection and whatever the statement that I'm gonna write. After that, I'm gonna end that particular single quote. So select, and then I will say, so dot type. So in this, each object we have dot type, right? So wherein like that is what I'm trying to do. Dot type, if it is equals to, so is equals to, so hosted. So then, so what I'll try to do is, so I'll filter it. So now let me close this and let's see that. So now what will be the output? You can see in the output, so none of the other repositories are there. You can see everything is hosted. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm out of this output, whatever output that I'll get it after this particular query, or whatever the selection that I've did, and I'm doing a select query. This is more specific to JQ. Again, I'm telling whatever I've mentioned within this single quote, which is JQ operations. Okay, so wherein like I'm selected only the object which has a type is equals to hosted. So now I've selected, this is fine. Wherein like only the hosted repositories are listed. So now I don't need all the information. I need only, let's say repo name, only name I require. So in this case, I can do, so I can select only dot name. So the output of this particular selection will be sent to this one. So in my case, I will just execute dot name. So in that case, I will be able to get only the names of it. So now, so let me copy this and then put it here. So now what I'll do is, so let me execute the script. So let me, when I say count, so obviously I'll get 15 as my output. So now when I say hosted, so then I should get all the repo names, wherein like hosted repo names. So let me maybe, what I'll do is, so I'll also echo it. I'll say just the repo name. So I'm just creating a header for this particular output. And also if you could see double quotes are there. So what I can do is I can remove that double quotes by just using pipe symbol. By using cut or std, I can do that. So let me use SED, and then I will replace the double quotes with empty. Substitute, and also when I say double quotes, and then again like, and globally is what I want to do. And also here, so my selection is double quote, right? So that's the reason wherein like I'll use single quote to replace double quote with nothing. Okay. So now when I save it, and again, when I provide this particular post it, you can see header has been there, and also double quotes that I was getting. So now it is no more. Now my next requirement is, so let me execute, or let me open this repo.json. You can see here now hosted repository is done. So now I want something like proxy repository. So proxy repository will be something like, it is a cache wherein like in the background we'll have some remote repository. So proxy is something like we'll have kind of a cache repository inside the Nexus, where user when he requests, right? So it will gonna go to the remote repository, download it onto the Nexus, and then it will be given to the user. So that is what it does. In my case, wherein like what I need is when I list proxy repository next. Ask is, so I want something like this when I do sh proxy. So I need a proxy repository name and also to which remote URL it is pointed. So I need this value. See, in this case, this is a proxy repository. I need the name of the proxy repository and also to which remote URL it has pointed. So I need this value. So then how do we get that? This is also by using a GQ only. We can just traverse through each object and we can get the output. So first thing is, let me go to script. And now again, we need to have one more condition. Again, what I'll do is else if. And then, so let me do again $1. If $1 is equals to proxy, then I should execute a certain block. Okay. So now I will say that. So two things I need here: echo, repo name, and also remote URL. Repo name, I'm just giving a header, that's it, to the output, repo name, and also remote URL. Okay. So now again the query will be, the API call will be the same. So let me execute it this again. Like we have already an output. So let me go through this particular file only. So let me do cat. First thing is we need to select. So I'll use the previous one only, wherein like if you could see the same logic here, I was listing down the hosted. So now what I'll do is, so I'm gonna kind of list now a proxy. So when I do proxy, so all the proxy repositories will be listed here. See, now we don't have any group repositories or hosted repositories in it. We have only proxy repositories. Now out of this object, so each object, I want to read name and also this proxy. So if I want to read name, it's just simple, wherein like I can pipe it within the JQ and then I can just read a name. So when I say name, so then I will be able to get the name of the proxy repositories. But here my request is not only that. I want to get basically both repository name and also remote URL. So then how do I do that? So that's where JQ concatenation you can use, wherein I can use this plus symbol. So it is concatenation that I'm trying to do. And between name and that remote URL. So what I'll do is I'll have a comma. And then after that, again, you need to have plus. Because we are concatenating two strings. So that's why. So we need to give plus. And now if I want to access this particular value, so then I need to say first the major, wherein like in each object, attributes is the first parent for me, correct? So that's where I need to say attribute. So let me give this attribute here. So I need to provide dot also, dot attribute. Thus under this particular section, I have again a proxy. So I need to select this dot proxy. And under this, I have field which is called as a remote URL. So that's the reason. So when I give this remote URL, I will be able to, when I type in, so you can see that both name and also comma, you can see this is also coming up. So if you want to remove that double quotes, the same logic wherein like we can go to our script and copy paste that sed command. So let me take this sed command and then put it in this particular line. So now you can see the output of this script will be the repo name as well as the proxy repository will be kind of like cache between your remote repository and the user, right? So that's where it will gonna also display what is a remote URL for the specific proxy repository. So now, so let me do one thing. So let me copy this particular command and I'll put it here. So let me save it. And now you can see that like my entire command has been copy pasted successfully. And now when I do proxy sh nexus report and also proxy as an argument. So now I should be able to see. Okay, so there is, yeah, I have forgot to use then. So that's the reason it is failing. So let me execute now. You can see that repo name and also URL in the CSV format. I could able to display it onto the screen. So now let's say, for example, if user something, I mean, without any argument, if he runs, it won't execute anything. So I don't want something like this because I want let user know that wherein like if something wherein like not sent, I need to give them little information that like, so wherein like you're executing wrongly. So you need to provide any option like count or wherein like hosted or wherein like proxy. So I want to do that. I want to kind of like failure scenarios. I want to handle it. And also I want to give the information to the user. For that, what I can do is else part I can use because so now there are three conditions. If it doesn't match with anything, any of these conditions, like let's say $1, like if user doesn't supply any value, or like if user supplies any argument, so other than count, hosted, or a proxy, so any other thing, so then it will come to else part. So let me put it as else part here. And then, so I'll write a function rather than just like writing it here. So I just want to create a function wherein let's say I will say help. And so I will say this is very important whenever you are writing the script, handling the failures also, wherein like failure scenarios is very, very important. In my case, when a user sends wherein like the arguments like other than count, hosted are like a proxy, then my script will be kind of like won't execute anything. So that time I need to provide the information. And also wherein like user supplies without arguments also, I need to provide some information. So that's the reason I'm writing a script for that. I'm writing a function for that. So now you can see I've I have three echo statements. So many typos might be there, but here the main important thing is like we're giving some help to the user. So that is what I'm just whenever he executes without these arguments. So this particular error message or message will be communicated to the user. So now I've created a function. So to use this, just like I need to call with the function. In my case, it's just help. So when I call help, right? So that particular block will be executed for me. So when I call help here, and this particular function will be triggered, and also this echo statements will be displayed for me. So now let's test it. So without any parameter arguments, when I run it, you can see whatever the error message that I've given in help function, so which is giving here. And also let's say, for example, if they're not sending a proper values or if they're not sending any arguments, so then I want to set exit status to some other value. Let's say if a script execute to the successful, so wherein like you'll get exit status. To check the exit status, so you will get like you need to use echo $? Okay, so wherein like let's assume if they don't send any argument or like if they send wrong argument, I want to set the exit status of the script to some non-zero value. So why exit status is like by using which we can make sure that like whether previously executed command is successful or not. So that's the reason if he sends like any wrong argument or like if it doesn't send any argument, so when like I want to set exit status to non-zero, so in that case I can say that maybe I will say exit 137, some random number you can give, So anything other than 0, if the exit status anything other than 0, so then we will assume it as a failure only. So now let me execute the script again without any parameters. So you can see you will get some output, but if you could see the exit status $, now you will be see that non-zero value. So that means the script is not executed to the successful. But if I do the same script execution like with the count, okay, I'll get 15 as an output. And now, so when I do, wherein like echo exit status, which is $? So now I'll see a positive, wherein like 0 means the script execution is successful. So now we have handled failure situation also. Now one admin related activity I want to automate. So let's say, for example, in my particular organization, so where I'm for whichever the project that I'm writing this particular script. So wherein like many users will come and they will request for creation of Maven repositories. So as I mentioned earlier, so creation, updation, everything, these things, if it happens through some API or a script, so that will be more a better way, because you never know, like when we log in, or like administrator logs into the portal and then he creates or updates something. So sometimes he might forget in a hurry, because let's say some 2 parallel activities is doing and he wanted to do create this repository as early as possible. He might forget some settings or some configuration. Rather than that, if you have some APIs, some automation in place, so when he runs that script, it will gonna ask him some parameters to give. And once he gives that particular parameter, so then the repository will be created with a all standardized configuration or standardized like settings. The repo will be created. So that's what I need to automate. So I need to automate one scenario wherein like this script should also handle wherein like a creation of repository. Okay, so now what I'll do is, for that, again, one more condition I'll take, and I will say that. So I will expect all the administrative related operations, wherein like, so the first argument should be admin, is what I'm expecting. So I will again take this condition, I'll just copy paste it from here. I will say that if the first parameter is admin, okay, and then come to this particular part, and also wherein like I need to take one more condition though. So and so $1. Now it should be other argument. The second argument will be Maven repo creation. Okay, the script execution will be like this, when like it should provide admin, and also it should say that Maven repo creation, or else I will say RC, wherein say Maven repo creation. So when he sends the arguments like this, then only I will go inside this particular logic is what I want to do. So that's where, and $2, double quotes $2, because there might be many admin related activities, right? So that's why, like, this is for Maven repo creation. That's why I just want to take. So again, single quote, and I will say that if $2 is MRC. So now let me do then, and also I'll just verify it with my echo statement, whether condition is correct or not. Maven repo creation. We'll do this. Let me save it, and now let me execute it. You can see that like it is filling. Maybe whenever I use this logical operators and all, so I need to provide 2 square brackets. So when I do this, yes, now it is successful, wherein like it is going into this particular, it is printing this echo statement. So that means my conditions are good now. So now let me go back to the Nexus. Now we can't use the same API because this is for listing. So now I need to do some kind of updation. Put request is what I need to send it. So now let me go back to the Nexus, and let me go to APIs again. So we'll also search repo related APIs. So let me search that. So now you can see here, so there are many post requests here. You can see hosted repository for APT. So in my case, I want to create hosted repository, Maven hosted repository. So let me search for that, Maven group repository, get repository. Yeah, hosted repository. You can see here, create a Maven hosted repository. If I want to do that, so then I need to kind of use this particular API. So when I expand it, so click on tryout, and now when I execute it, so it will gonna kind of like give me API by which with what it has created is what it is giving to me. Okay, so now this is kind of like put operation, right? So wherein like that's the reason I should authenticate. So in that case, I need to use -u and username password. Definitely I need to use, as I'm executing inside the Nexus. So in the API, it has not used any username password, but in my case, I should definitely use it. Okay, so now, so what I'll do is I'm gonna copy this particular thing, and also, so let me create a new file and let me remove these new files, new liners. So now you can see I've removed that new line separator, wherein like, and also this is expecting some JSON input to be provided. You can see this is the file, so that I need to provide it. So, but let's not send it like this, because so it might go really wrong when we send it like this. So let me put this data wherein like in a JSON file, and then let's send it. Okay, in my case, I've already created that JSON file. You can see here Maven JSON, wherein like this is the same. So let me open it in another window, right? And I will just show you. So you can see here the same thing. So here I'm used like wherein like name as repo name. So because we want to take the repo name as an input from the user. So that's why I've just used some random name. So wherein like after accepting from the user, wherein like I'm gonna replace this particular string with the actual repo name. So that's the reason. Or else you can see other than that, everything is same. Okay, so I'll gonna supply wherein like rather than this, right? So wherein like I can send it like this @ so the way I need to send it is @ and also Maven JSON is what I need to do it. So now let me cancel this. Let me go to the script. So let me take this. So I have constructed the API and I've given it here. So you can see here curl and also application.json, username, password, and also here if you can see here -d maven.json. So this particular input is what I'm gonna send it, and also the API. So this is the API that I want to run. So that is what. And also now here the logic is wherein like in the maven.json, I've given some repo name. So this value should be accepted from the user. So that's where what I'll do is, so I'll gonna execute read command, read, and also I will say before this, let me write some echo statement. Echo, I will say that please enter Maven repo name. Okay, so let me save it, and also I will read. When I do read, so it will ask user, whoever is running the script, right? It will ask user to enter some specific value. So let me read that value in variable which is called as a repo. So now once this is done, so wherein like next thing is what I need to do is SCD. SCD command I'll use. I'll do inline change -i. So that means in file change. So I'm gonna use substitute. So in my case, I need to substitute the repo name. This repo name is there, right? I need to substitute that with $repo. So in my case, I don't need to give dollar here. So I should give it here actually. $repo. And also, so globally, if you give, because only one instance is there, if you give G or if you don't give, it will work fine. And also the file name I need to provide maven.json. In my case, maven.json is, let me copy paste it just to avoid any problems. And also now the repo name will be changed and this particular curl command will be executed. And also once the execution is done, so wherein like I need to provide, I'll also use -s here to suppress that default curl output. And now I can use the exit status here. Again, I'll do if the previous command. So in my case, the previous command, when I come to this particular point, so the previous command will be this curl command. If it is executed successfully, $, is equals to 0. So wherein like, so then only I will print that. Okay, I will say this, and also else. So and also I need to end this particular one if loop, which is with fi, and else I will say repo creation failed is what I will say. Okay, and also wherein like once this replacement is done, the repo creation is done. So again, I need to replace this dollar repo name with repo name, because for further request and all. So let's say for example, you'll get one more request to create another repository. After the first execution, you'll get one more requirement to create one more repository. So in that case also, wherein like I need it. Before that, I'll indent it properly so that to understand a little better. Okay, so we have this, then else, and also now again I'll use this sed command only. I'll put it here so that like now the repo name will go on this side. So once the repo name creation, so I'm just again replacing that repo name with this standard word that I'm going to use it again for the next run. So now let me execute it. Okay, so I'm just giving the repo name and I'm reading it and then I'm executing it. So let me execute this particular one. So I will say sh nexus admin mrc. Okay, when I do this, it is prompting me to enter. Please enter Maven repository. So let's say in my case, I will just give Dikshit Maven. So let me do this. So I can see here the repo creation is successful. So now when I go to my Nexus and also to the repositories, I should be able to see that particular repository. So when it is, yeah, we can see Dikshit Maven. And also now, let's say, for example, I want to create one more repository. And before that, let's have a look at like maven.json. You can see it is in the virginal state only. So now let me create it one more repository. So let me again execute it. So it'll ask user to give me the repository name. So let's say now I will say Dikshit. So the MVM. Okay, when I do this, you can see that like within few seconds, the repo has been created here. So now when I execute count, so it should be now 17. Why? Because wherein like we created two new repositories. So that is how wherein like administrative related activities, wherein like admin related activities, if we automate it by using shell script, so a lot of misconfigurations we can avoid it in our project. So that is what I can say, and this is what I wanted to share in this particular video. If you've liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.